there's been an effort to make the Supreme Court a super legislature that actually, instead of neutrally applying the law, sort of engages the United States in major societal changes without the political branches playing a role in that, and that has gotten them in trouble. And it really depends whose ox is being gored. If they're making major changes that are liked by the progressives, then all of a sudden the Supreme Court is a great institution. If they're retrenching and saying, well, wait a minute, that's really a decision for Congress or the people, then all of a sudden, the left hates them and the right loves them. So that's what happened. That goes with politics. And, Americans are in a very grouchy mood. They hate everybody nowadays. And I understand the grouchy mood. I understand it and I sympathize with it in many respects, but it also leads to a level of sort of mindlessness and jumping to conclusions. And when I actually know the whole story and see that it's a little more complicated, or maybe the merits are on not as people see them, and yet you have these people always willing to, just trash the organization or trash the individual involved. And, so you look at the approval levels of every person who sticks their head up above the rampart, and it's in the basement. That's the way it is nowadays, which is one of the reasons I finally decided probably I should take the job of AG, because as I said to people, anyone in their 40s or 50s, or even maybe 60, cannot afford to make controversial decisions in the executive branch, because in the environment today, their careers are completely destroyed. They will not get a job later on. And so and part of the problem in government generally is paralysis, because everyone is basically a coward, doesn't want to make a decision. And so I think the only people really who are capable of actually holding office and making decisions are people who are not looking for another job after the position, or just willing to do what they think is right and let the chips fall where they may.
Do you see a way out, or a way to rebuild trust in institutions?
So I have been, up until recently, I've been sort of optimistic, because I felt that the big dynamic in our country over the last 30 or 40 years has been the move of the Democratic Party sharply to the left. And that's not me talking as a partisan. I mean, every empirical study has showed that's the case, and they've left a lot of people behind them, and they're kowtowing more and more to a more radical group in the party. That is really the dynamic, and that's part of the dynamic that brought Trump to power. Frustration with that, and frustration with the so-called elites who were not resisting it, but going along with it. So I have felt for some time that this was could be a replay of 1980. When one party goes too far in one direction, it leaves a big spectrum for the other party to fill. And I feel the way for the country back was for the Republican Party to get the hint and put up somebody who's quasi-normal to be president of the United States. And I think that would lead to a resounding victory, and with enough strength in Congress to reject the extremism on one side and show that there's an alternative other than extremism on the other side.